So, hello, my dear students, once again for the natural resources. We were discussing about the natural resources. So, among the series of the natural resources, today we'll be discussing about the land resources. So, land is a very, very important component because if we are moving, we need a land to move on. So, land is fundamental natural asset for the survival and success of mankind and for the support of every earthborn biological community. Land is not only required for agriculture, but factories also they are also established on it. The vast tract of land are used as grazing field, forest grows on it, and roads and railway lines are built on the surface. So land surface is very, very important. Everything, what you think, anything, and that is on the land. Whether it's a forest land, grazing land, industrialization, urbanization, for everything we need a land resources. So land is defined as the solid portion of the earth's surface. It is a natural resource which plays an important role in the development of human society, and it covers up to only 29% of the earth's surface, and all parts of the land are not habitable. We usually make the land resources habitable. The uneven distribution of population in different parts of the world is mainly due to varied characteristic of land and climate. So, if we have favorable climatic condition, if we have not, we do not have very difficult terrain, the population is higher. At the extreme high altitude with less oxygen, we cannot survive. So, we are using those land resources which are having the good topography as well as good climatic condition, better climatic conditions. So, land resources in India encloses approximately 1.3 million square miles, plain, 43% of land area in plain region where we can walk, and Indian mountain region 30% of the area is Indian mountain, and 27% of the total surface area of the nation is plateau. So 43% land area in plain region, 30% mountain, and 27% are the plateau. So land resources India includes agricultural land, farmland, barren land, real estate land, commercial land, and residential land. So these are the land resources in India. Agricultural land accounts for near about 56.78% of the total land area of the country. Agriculture is very, very important component to ensure the food security. We have to more and more agriculture. But what we are doing for this agricultural land, we are cutting the forests for this. So that is another issue we'll be dealing with. So uses of land resources, we have different uses of the land resources we have, and those land resources are the for different purposes we are using land resources, for example, for agriculture, for minerals, for water, for habitats. So agriculture land is used for the agriculture, minerals, we dig, we do the mining to get the minerals we are using. Minerals are also very important for our survival. And water, it is also contain water in the form of underground water. So whatever water we are getting, that is the underground water. So habitat, most of the animals, plants have their own habitat or land. So we need land for building homes, cultivating foods, maintaining pasture for domestic animal, and developing industries. So these are the uses of the land resources we have. Lands on earth is as finite as any of the other natural resources. It is infinite, it is finite, but land can be converted into non-renewable resources when highly toxic industrial and nuclear waste are dumped on it. So we have to be very careful before dumping the highly toxic. We should not destroy the land at the level where it should not be the renewable. So land is a renewable and we have to maintain a renewable resources. Therefore, a rational use of land needs careful planning. Basic requirements. Land provides all the resources required to fulfill the basic need of human being. Basic need of human civilization such as food, clothes, and shelter. Also water. So these things are being provided by the lands. According to land revenue record, land uses are categorized as follows, like forests, land under non-agriculture uses, barren and wastelands. So forest, it is the area identified and declared as forest by government, and land use under non-agriculture uses, that is land under settlement, rural and urban infrastructure like roads, railways, canals, etc., and industrial shops. These all are the different categories of non-agriculture uses. Then barren and the wasteland, the land which may be classified as the wasteland, such as barren, hilly terrain, desert land, riverine, normally cannot be brought under cultivation with the available technology. The fourth category is the permanent pasture and grazing land. So, since we are discussing it again and again that every family, especially in the rural area, are having they are having the cattle. So, for the cattle, we need to have the pasture land. So, there are permanent pasture and grazing lands. Most of this type land is owned by the villages, panchayat, or the government. Either government provide the pasture land or the panchayat land is being used as a pasture land. We have to have the pasture land because cattle going inside the forest may create lots of disturbance to the forest, and most of the forests are degraded because of the overgrazing. So miscellaneous tree crops and groves, the land under orchard and fruit trees are included in this category. Much of this land is privately owned. Cultivable wasteland, any land which is left fallow, means uncultivated, for more than 5 years is included in this category. It can be brought under cultivation after improving it through reclamation practices. So, cultural wasteland, any land which is left fallow for more than 5 years, that is the culture. So, current fallow land, this is the land which is left without cultivation for one or less than one agriculture year. So, that is the current fallow land. And fallow other than current fallow land, this is also a cultivated land which is left uncultivated for more than a year but less than 5 years. And the last is the net area sown. The physical extent of land on which crops are sown and harvested is known as the net sown area, means the agricultural land. So, apart from this, we have the land as the property resources, and that can be classified on the basis of the ownership. The private land, privately owned land, we can use privately owned land. Individual or the group of people can own a private land. The second is the common property resources, like the community land, panchayat land, that is the common property resources. Can be defined as communities' natural resources where every member has the right of access and uses with specified obligations without anybody having property right over them. Means this is the village land, this is the community land where with certain norms everyone can use the land, and this land doesn't belong to anybody. This is not the personal property of anyone. So that is the community property, this common property resources. And third category of the property resources are the land resources as agricultural land. So land resources is more crucial to the livelihood of the people depending on agriculture. Agriculture is purely land-based activity. The lack of access to land is directly correlated with the incidence of the poverty. The lack of access of land is directly correlated with incidence of poverty in rural areas. Over the year, there have been a marginal decline in the available total stock of cultivable land as a percentage to total reporting areas. Land degradation. Land degradation is process in which the value of physical environment is affected by combination of human induced process acting upon the land. So that is one form of the land degradation. Means degradation is a process in which the value of physical environment is affected by combination of human induced process acting upon the land. Nearly 70% of the global area of arable land has been affected upon some degree by degradation and have lost nearly one-third of its productivity capacity. Every year, between 5 to 7 million hectare of land worldwide is added to the existing degraded farmland. So 5 to 7 million hectare of land worldwide is added to the degraded, whatever is already existing degraded farmland. There are natural process, land degradation. There are natural process, heavy rains. Definitely, heavy rains lead to removal of topsoil, making soil infertile and hence unsuitable for agriculture. Natural disasters like earthquake and floods can have considerable impact on land resources, and high speed winds. High speed winds of high intensity and storm are responsible for land degradation. So these are some of the example of the land degradation. These are the natural causes: landslide, okay, earthquake, and the heavy winds. So these are the reason which make the land unusable. Then there are anthropogenic causes like mining, urbanization, deforestation, and overgrazing. Mining, usually what we do, we dig the land, okay, so generate a lot of waste that destroy vegetation and disrupt water circulation over large tracts, causes land degradation. Urbanization, the growing urbanization all over the world is major cause of concern. And deforestation, the growing urbanization of all over the world is major causes of concern. Deforestation is the indiscriminate and uncontrolled removal of trees have led to the destruction of the forest. So, deforestation is the indiscriminate and uncontrolled removal of the trees. Overgrazing, lower soil quality and leads to land degradation, and that is why every village should have the pasture land or the grazing land for the cattle they are having. Intensive use of soil, when soil is used more intensively by farming, it is eroded more rapidly by wind and rain, and salinization over irrigating farmland leads to salinization, as evaporation of water brings the salt to the surface of the soil on which crop cannot grow. More chemical fertilizers poison the soil, and we are witness of this. We are using more and more fertilizer to the cropland. We are not only polluting the cropland, but also that is seeping into the water, mixing with the water and making the drinkable water or the groundwater poisonous. Industrial expansion, due to industrial expansion, agricultural lands are shrinking. So dams and canals, construction of large dams and canals are also responsible for loss of vegetation leading to the land degradation. Of course, when we are making the dams, when we are making the canals, we are basically cutting the forest. We are sometimes very fertile forest is being converted into dams and canals, and they are also important to have the energy and the fertilizers. Most of the chemical fertilizers used in the modern agriculture after the Green Revolution, farmers are using the more and more chemical fertilizer to have more and more grains to ensure the food security, and that is actually affect the productivity of the soil and leads to land degradation. These are the causes of the soil degradation in different areas. Like in Asia, the maximum is because of the industrialization, and second most important factor for the soil degradation is the first is the uh, deforestation, and then after the deforestation it is agriculture activities. In world, the same like in North America, it is the industrialization and 4% agriculture activities and 30% overgrazing. So in every area, whether it's Europe, Africa, North America, Central America, South America, Oceanica, Asia. Everywhere, grazing, industrialization, and deforestation. These are the three major causes. So, there are several causes of soil degradation: deforestation, overgrazing, overexploitation of fuel wood, agriculture activities, and industrialization. So, deforestation, agriculture activity, and industrialization are the three, and overgrazing are the major causes of the soil degradation. And soil erosion. Soil erosion means removal of the topsoil, and that soil supports a wide variety of the crops. If the topsoil, which is very fertile, which is good quality, is being removed, then it is bad for the soil. The misuse of an ecosystem lead to loss of valuable soil through erosion by the monsoon rains and by winds. Deforestation lead to rapid soil erosion, and soil is washed into streams and is transported into rivers and finally lost to the sea. That's how we are losing the soil, the very, very fertile soil. To prevent the loss of millions of tons of valuable soil every year, it is essential to preserve natural forest cover. The forest, we know, the trees, the roots of the trees holds, they not only are giving us the green cover for the carbon trapping, but also they are holding the soil to stop the soil erosion. So, there are different causes of the soil erosion. Some are controllable, some are not. Among the soil erosion, water-induced soil erosions are there. That is, one is the sheet erosion. Sheet erosion means uniform removal of thin layer of the soil from the large surface area. This is usually due to runoff water. That is called the sheet erosion. Means the sheet of the uppermost layer of the soil is gone. Rill erosion. Rapidly running water produce finger-shaped grooves or rill over the area. That is called rill erosion. And gully erosion, we have slip erosion and bank erosion. Gully erosion is when the rainfall is very heavy. It is very heavy, deeper cavities or gullies are formed, which may be of U or V shape. This picture shows this is called gully erosion. And the slip erosion, slip name itself explain, occurs due to heavy rainfall on slope of hills and mountain. That is the slip erosion. And the third is the bank erosion. So bank erosion occurs due to fast running streams take a run in some other direction. They cut the soil and make caves in the bank. So, to control the soil erosion, we have some suggestions like afforestation, stop overgrazing, and to check dams are the main efforts we can do to control the soil erosion. By making the check dams, we are stopping, controlling the soil to run off, control grazing, and we should provide the alternative to our cattle for the overgrazing. And afforestation. Plantation is very, very important. So, afforestation, check dams, and is control overgrazing are the important factor which can actually control the soil erosion. Land resource management strategies we'll be discussing on. We have seen what are the land resources. We are walking, we are on the land. Is the land we need for everything, whether it's industrialization, whether it's urbanization or forest cover. For everything we need the land. So we have to manage the land resources for the sustainable environment. With the increase in human population, demand in land resources also increases, and ultimately it may induce stress leading to degradation in land. According to FAO, Food and Agriculture, land and water resources are central to agriculture and rural development. They are intrinsically linked to globally challenges of food insecurity and poverty, climate change adaptation. It is also linked to degradation and depletion of natural resources. that affect the livelihood of millions of rural people across the world. An estimation indicates that world population will increase from 6.9 million people to 9.1 billion in 2050. It will translate into increased demand for food and diversified um, diets. So land resources, which is finite, will be under heavy stress due to this and subsequently lead to degradation. We have limited resources and we are population explosion, and the data itself says that from 6.9 billion to 9.1 billion we will be in 2050. Therefore, management strategies are required to enhance the production without compromising the normal resource base. There are certain land management technique. If we do the practice, we can at some extent we can control. One is the sustainable agriculture. Techniques like conservation agriculture, agroforestry, and integrated pest management may help in preventing the degradation of the land by reducing soil erosion, enhancing soil fertility, and fostering biodiversity. Forest prevention and restoration, deforestation and forest degradation can be helpful in protecting existing forest and repairing damaged forest. That is the forest prevention and restoration. In order to stabilize soil, control water cycle, and support biodiversity, forests are essential. Conservation of soil. This is sustainable agriculture. Second is the forest prevention and restoration. The third is the conservation of soil. That is soil conservation technique like contour farming, terracing, and mulching can minimize soil degradation. Retaining of soil nutrient, moisture, and improvement in soil health can be done by these techniques. The next is the sustainable land use planning. We have to plan the land resources we should use judicially, and we should plan a sustainable land use. We should have the sustainable land use planning. Planning for sustainable land use can help prevent unplanned and unsustainable land use practices like unchecked urbanization, expansion of the agriculture into marginal lands, and infrastructure development. Effective land use planning and management practices that take into account ecological, social, and economic consideration should be implemented. This is the sustainable land use planning. Next is the water management. Sustainable water management technique such as rainwater collection, effective irrigation, and water use reduction strategies can help stop water-related land deterioration, including sanitization and waterlogging. So, we have to manage the water to control the soil degradation. Conservation of biodiversity, establishment of protected area. By establishing the protected area, what we are doing, we are protecting the land also. We are not cutting the trees. We are not allowing to cut the trees, and that forestation will definitely help in this conservation of biodiversity. So, establishment of the protected area, habitat restoration, and combating invasive species can be helpful in retaining the resilience of our ecosystem and stop the destruction of our land. Policy measure and regulation. By establishing rules and standards for responsible land use, policies and regulation that support sustainable land management practices can help prevent land degradation. Education and information. By encouraging responsible land use behavior, local people, farmers, and stakeholders can be made more aware of the value of sustainable land management techniques. So, we have to have a sensitization program for the people who are using the land, especially the local people, farmers, and stakeholders, to control the soil degradation. to manage the soil degradation. Training and capacity building can also assist prevent land degradation. So these are the issue we can practices we can use and control and stop the soil degradation, which is very, very important land resource. The last is the international cooperation. International cooperation. International cooperation can assist stop land deterioration on a global scale by promoting sustainable land management techniques and exchanging knowledge and best practices. And integrated and comprehensive strategies that combine sustainable land management techniques, legislative measures, community involvement, and international cooperation is needed to stop land degradation. To safeguard and restore the health of our land for current and future generation, it is essential to address the root cause of land degradation and advance sustainable land use practices. We have to advance the sustainable land use practices. So, my dear students, this is all about the land resources. We know whatever resources we are talking about, whatever, whether it's a forest resource, water resource, mineral resource, whatever resources, that is all dependent on the land resources. We have to maintain the quality of the land. We have to protect the soil erosion, all these through different practices, as well as not only the national cooperation, not only by the sensitization program, but we also need the international cooperation. International cooperation and cooperation by the local community. These are the important component to control, to manage all the degradation. So with this, I end up with my slides, with my lecture on land resources. Thank you very much. Soon we'll be meeting in our next lecture. By then, thank you.